Hello, welcome to D6. This is Professor Vinod Kumar, signing with His Highness Royal Ronak Yar Khan, ninth Nizam of the Asif Jahi dynasty, and the first democratic Nizam. So we will ask about the Nizam's ruling, how the Nizam's ruling, as per is studies. So, what is your opinion on these seven Nizams? Seventh all the first to seventh Nizam 224 years,
Right.
1724 to 1948.
Yeah. That was still that was the ruling time.
Yes, ruling time.
Yeah. 300 years is just
Yes, now
finished
24
3
is
days
300
back.
years.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was like after the rule was over.
Yeah, yeah.
In 1948, the Indian Army, they kind of took over Hyderabad. And in I think 1950, they signed the accord to join India as a Republic of India.
Yes.
And from that time, the Nizam's dynasty ended. The the princely state of Hyderabad ended
Yes.
in 1948.
Yes. Yes.
So after that, there were no real Nizams, and Nizam became a citizen, but he was still a governor. We called
Yeah.
him Raj Pramukh for
Raj
about
Pramukh.
several years,
Yes.
and he stayed here. A lot of people have the misconception that he left India or whatever. He was still in India. He helped India a lot later on also after independence because he contributed quite a bit in a lot of things. And so I told you 1940. So that's the case. So
Yes.
1948. So you have to go back. If you want to go back, you have to go back to Khamruddin.
Yes.
So Khamruddin was here in the Deccan in 1713. Then he was sent to UP by the Mughals. He was a Mughal Subedar, means viceroy
Yes.
or governor. And he was not happy in UP, so he came back to Hyderabad around 1924. On the way back, he encountered some resistance from a governor called Mubaris Khan, and there was a battle of Shakarkheda. After which he stayed put, and then then the Asif Jahi dynasty starts from that
Yes,
point onwards.
yes,
He was given that title because he managed the whole place very well. So the Mughals gave him another title. He was already Nizam ul Mulk, I think. And I mean, I'm saying I think because it was
Yeah, past history. That
everybody thinks he's Nizam ul Mulk from the time he entered Hyderabad. I think he was. I mean, 99% sure that he was Nizam ul Mulk even before that. And that's when the dynasty started. And then he had a favorite. I mean, when his life ended, I think maybe 1767 or around that much. I'm not a historian and I'm a good
Yes,
with
no
dates,
worry,
accurate
no worry.
date. And that's not an important date anyway.
Yes.
So when he ended, he was very keen on his daughter's son. His daughter was Khairunisa, was his favorite, and his son was Muzaffar. So it's like a gender neutral kind of a dynasty. They had nothing against women. Like normally they think Muslims have, something
yes.
stuck
Gender
up about
bias,
Islam,
yeah.
gender bias. It's not so. I mean, a lot of another person pointed out, but he still didn't make his daughter the Nizam. But to be the Nizam, you also have to be capable. You have to be a sword fighter. Those days, like we are talking about 300 years ago, that time you have to be, good with a sword and, like more of physical
Yes,
prowess
fitness.
than, fitness. So maybe he could not make his daughter. And he did the next best thing, honoring his daughter. He made her son. He wanted her son to succeed him.
Yes, yes.
He had another son also, but that other son rebelled against him. So he put that other son in jail. He was not happy with him. And he had an elder son also, who could have been the successor, but the elder son had a better job as a prime minister of the Mughals. His name was Ghazi.
Okay.
So he chose the grandson, and grandson was already primed for the job. Like he was already governor of Adoni and Bijapur. But when the first Nizam died, his son was in jail. He managed to usurp the throne. His name was Nasir Jag. He was the second son of the Nizam. First, I already told you. So he usurped that. So the main thing is to say that they were gender neutral to the extent that they honored the daughter's son, which is honoring the daughter itself. Because normally, if you see in many families, when the daughter marries outside, the son becomes from the other family.
Yes, yes.
But the very fact that he made his daughter's son, to succeed him or wanted him or very keen on him, and he already introduced him to the Mughals also, to get them accepted towards this idea. So it shows gender neutrality, which I'm very proud about, and that's the founder Nizam. It's not some middle Nizam doing it; it's the founder. He's the one who sets the rules. So that's how it started. And I told you about Nasir; he usurped the throne. But Muzaffar came, and with in those days in Islam there was something called ijma. There's no father to son precise. There's nothing mentioned about succession at all.
Yes.
So the only thing Islam proposes is ijma. Otherwise, it's by might. Like when the Nizams came here, they overthrew the Golconda people with the Qutub Shahs, who had created Hyderabad. And they overthrew him, and just by power. They came with the Mughals. And the Mughal they came with was Aurangzeb. Now, Aurangzeb had already jailed his father, killed most of his brother, including his elder brother, Dara Shikoh, who was expected to be the next crown prince. And he became a legitimate king. I'm talking about Aurangzeb. So all that was acceptable. There's nothing you can do that in, you can make rules for your juniors, I mean your subordinates. But you cannot make a rule which applies to your neighbor who's stronger than you. So that kind of thing went on. And so this grandson, Muzaffar, you can say he's used consensus. He used two of his father's loyalists. And they were the Nawabs of Kadapa and Kurnool. And he used the French and he overthrew his, his uncle, who was the second son of the Nizam, and he got killed. And then Muzaffar came to sit on the seat of power. And by that time, the Mughals had very little to do with it because the Mughals had become very weak. And they didn't have any participation in making this man, get onto the seat because the French helped him most. But what happened, unfortunately, he started favoring the French too much. So his old associates, his father's associates, they got jealous and they planned to get rid of him. And they did. So the moment the grandson died, the French killed both the murderers. Okay, they killed the aggressors. And they immediately put the third son of the Nizam, the first Nizam. I can call him the founder. It makes it easy. There's this Nizam, that Nizam. To make it worse, there's one more Nizam whose name is Nizam. Otherwise Nizam is like the title. But one of them is actually got his first name was also Nizam. So it's a little confusing. So the third son was put on the throne by the French straight away, almost overnight you can say. Okay. His name was Muzaffar. And they ruled for about 11 years. Now 11 years is a serious amount of time to rule.
Yes.
And after Muzaffar got onto the throne, his next sibling, maybe with the gap of two more younger ones, maybe the youngest sibling was Nizam Ali Khan, or maybe the one after him. The history is a little confused on that. I mean, there are some authors in the same book they've written him as the sixth son, and same book they've written him as the fourth son also. So I would just say six. It's easier. The youngest. So the youngest managed to do away with his, brother who was preceding him on the throne, on the seat. So he got Muzaffar killed. They said he put him in jail and he got him, throttled.
Yes.
Throttle is like whatever, like not hanging but choking him or whatever. So I won't go into that much of detail. But then he started being called Nizam II. Nizamul Mulk II, Asif Jah II. The same title as his father. Now this titles are given to the Nizam Subedars. So the three who ruled, who did not borrow the title from the Mughals were in no condition to give it because those three got onto the throne with the help of the French. So they did not require the Mughals to, bestow them any kind of favors, like including titles. They ruled on their own. So basically, as long as you rule in your family, you're called part of the dynasty. Correct? They were the same blood as their father.
Yes.
So they're part of the dynasty and they're older than the fifth one on the seat who's calling himself the second. So they're elder than him. So they have more right and they sat on the throne before the youngest. The youngest was Nizam Ali Khan. So they have more right on the throne as independent rulers. Because all the other ones were Subedars of the Mughals. If the Mughals did not bestow titles, automatically you can consider them as rulers. So the independent rulers, the mistake historians make, they think that they are like some kind of a lower level because they didn't have a title. Now, title is not important. Who rules is important. And the three were on the seat. And if they were not Mughal Subedars and they're rulers, they were rulers. Rulers means they have monarchs.
Yes.
So I'd like to set that record right because that is the only thing which is not being clarified by any historians. All historians talk about the three. Nobody is bothered to venture why they probably could not get a title. Okay, so I'm giving the reason that they use foreign powers to get onto the throne. That's why they probably didn't get the title. And the fifth one, after him, his son succeeded him. So son was Sikandar Jah, after which Sikandrabad is named.
Yes.
By that time, the British had some influence.
Yes.
The British had influence on the Mughals also by that time. So I have a feeling because of that Mughal influence, influence over the Mughals and influence over the Nizams also to some extent. They had an influence on the Nizam, though they considered Nizams as friends and they did not subjugate the Nizam. But still they had powers over the Nizam. So something happened, and they again renamed the fifth one of the seat as Nizam II, Nizamul Mulk II, Asif Jah II. So some hand of the British is there. And after Nizamul Mulk II, it was his son Sikandar. So if his son is there, he wouldn't bother about his father's brothers, right?
Yes.
He's taken his father into consideration when history is written. Maybe he's taken his father's father, who's the founder. So the founder is important, his own father is important, he's important because he's ruling.
Yes.
So he totally brushed his father's other, like competitors under the carpet. You get my point?
Yes.
They're from that generation. And another thing is, the second Nizam, who's Nizam Ali Khan, his mother poisoned the first son. The first son of the founder, Ghazi, was poisoned by the mother of the youngest son. So the youngest son is obviously mother poisoning, meaning she's working on behalf of the youngest son. So the eldest son was poisoned, and he killed a preceding son.
Oh.
Preceding meaning one before him. Okay. So he's already killed two of his siblings. So I don't think he'd be very proud mentioning all these person if they can be avoided. You get my point? Why would he mention, two people, other people, instead of his founder, if he's mentioning his brothers, he has to admit he's killed two. So that's a very, not very proud part of history. So being a king, you must have brushed it under the carpet. And the historians also must have played along with them. Because these people didn't have titles. And obviously the Nizams who were on the seat would not have been, the succession went to the children. The children wouldn't have, wanted to, showcase the other three who were missing. So I think the historians went that way. And if you notice, if I'm the Nizam, I wouldn't be calling myself Nizam I if I was the first Nizam. I'd be just calling myself Nizam. Because I don't know there'll be a dynasty after me. Only when I have children and they succeed me, and the children succeed, then it starts getting called a dynasty. Just by one man is not a dynasty. So he never probably was Nizam I. Only later in history, they must have been numbered. Around the time of 3, to identify him, they must have said 3. So if they've said 3, then they would have to call the other guy 2. His father 2. And then they would have had to call the first Nizam 1.
Yes.
So that went on that way. And after that, it went on, couple of things which were uneventful. And I think the children, logically, according to, the most regular custom, when nothing else is happening, nobody's conquering you, they choose a son. And the son, if the eldest is not retired, or if the youngest is not strong, like in case of Aurangzeb, the eldest one gets to be, because, normally otherwise there'll be a quarrel there also. So they put up, primogeniture, they probably put up some son, as long as he's capable. But around the time of the fifth Nizam, Afzal-ud-Daula, the British exiled Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was a Mughal. He was exiled to Rangoon. So straight away the Nizam became headless. The blessings of the Mughals, which they were under, was removed. So he didn't rebel. He just became independent automatically. By default, you can say. And after that, the Nizam real monarch start from the fifth Nizam. So fifth Nizam was a monarch only after midway of his rule. Initially, he was a Subedar of the Mughal. So after that, his son, Mehboob Ali Khan, who's considered, I would say, you add the 3, but in history, he's written as the 6th, Mehboob Ali Khan.
Yes.
So Mehboob Ali Khan was the only person born in a monarchy. And when he was 2.5 years, he became the monarch. And he was looked after there's a word for it, when a child is looked after by a regent, I think it's called a regent. When somebody looks after a young king, or, looks after on behalf of him. So Salah Jung was one of the people, and one of the Paiga people, I think, was a regent for him. Till he became 18, then he took over control, Mehboob Ali Khan. And he died a monarch. But what happened after that is Usman Ali Khan, who was the 6th. In the case of the 6th, and Usman Ali Khan also was, I think, the second son. I don't know why, maybe the first one passed away or whatever reason. He was the second son. And they expected some other people also, who were from the royal family, but they were 17 years younger. I think Basalat Jah and Salawat Jah. So Usman Ali Khan was the most likely candidate, because Mehboob Ali Khan, the 6th, died at the age of 45. It was like a surprise, He'd probably expect to live another 15, 20 years where his other children would have grown up. So when he died, those other people were children. His other sons were children except Usman Ali Khan. So he got chosen as the next, Nizam.
Yes.
So when he was chosen, he was a monarch. But he was monarch only for some time. In 1948, the army took over, and last 19 years of his life, he was an Indian citizen. Indian citizen, maybe governor or whatever, is Indian citizen.
Indian citizen, independent country.
Yeah, he joined India. So it became an independent country. And then he became a titular king after that. After that, he named Mukarramja his grandson to be the next successor, would be Nizam VIII. Okay. So Nizam VIII, he never ruled. So he was titular from the beginning. He started as a titular one, he ended as a titular one. So his aunt, Ahmadunisa, there's a case versus Union of India. It's reported in AIR 1969. And the High Court declared him as an ordinary citizen of India. And he said even the government has no power to say okay, the property goes from father to son because now he is an Indian citizen and the law which he attracts is Sharia, which is for all Muslims. And he's not a ruler anymore.
Yes.
So he's now a citizen. So citizens, the law is Sharia, which is like all brothers are equal. Sisters get a lesser share. But all brothers are equal. It doesn't come from father to son, only one son. And by the way, he was also a grandson.
Yes.
You cannot even say he was a son. And then 1967, I told you that happened. In 1971, across the board, the Indian government abolished all titles, abolished all privy purses, everything, all facilities,
Yes.
all extra privileges to the, not just Nizams. All over India, they were abolished. So now the Nizam doesn't have a title like a Nizam. He doesn't have his title was Nizam of Hyderabad. So he cannot say Nizam of Hyderabad because Hyderabad state is not there.
Yes.
Princely state is gone. The Nizam title is gone. So the titles ended there. And then he had a son who was claiming through him. Now if his father is Nizam of Hyderabad and he was, not to use the title from 71 onwards, he could out of respect use it till his death. But his son can't get a title which doesn't exist anymore. And the only title a son can get is the same title as a father, Nizam of Hyderabad, which doesn't exist anymore. So the title just closed down right there. The chapter just...
Constitution itself abolished.
And not only that, he said his father liked him. Now, the family has dug up a few cases which he had filed against his own father, which is very humiliating to his own father. Somebody filed a case and he joined in, saying his father is not capable of something like that, which I won't say. I'm saying something like that. I know it, but I don't want to say it. So he kind of also proved that he could not have been his father's favorite. Now he's got other brothers also. They also have a right. And he can't say I'm the eldest, so I get it, because his father was not the eldest. Neither was he the son. He was a grandson. So that, kind of generalization doesn't apply. Like I told you, the last Nizam named his grandson. That means a Nizam can name anyone a grandson. So what happens is, but there's no Nizam to name anyone. So what is left is a family, which is a dynasty.
Yes.
So dynasty now being democratic, the family democratically can elect their own head. So they've elected Rana Khair Khan as the ninth Nizam of the Asif Jahi dynasty,
Yes.
not of Hyderabad.
Yes.
Get my point? The family has a right, they've done it. So, and the person they've selected is also democratic. He's not saying, I'm the whole and soul. He's saying, democratically, I'm also like any of the other family, and I'll fight for everyone's right. And I'll integrate them into the mainstream India, democratic India, because so far they were isolated. Some of them were still imagining they were part of the royal family, so they didn't have to work. So they're suffering due to that. And now they have to get out of their reverie and, their dream world and get integrated into the rest of the system. This is my job. And I've been doing it for quite some time.
Right now, being a democratic, first democratic Nizam's dynasty, what are now the property crisis and what are the family crisis? Now you have to face and unite them. How to resolve the problems?
Yeah, see, there are a lot of problems to be resolved. First of all, the people who elected me was a society consisting of about 4,500 members. Okay, that got reported in Times of India and Deccan Chronicle in many, many papers. And out of the 4,500, they are like a society. But in court, you can't just say a society elected you. You have to have individual signatures. So I've gone and taken the trouble of all those individual people. I've collected about close to 2,000 signatures. And out of which then I found out again that the signatures are not enough, they have to be notarized. So again I started the whole process of, first of all, finding the people who are legitimate descendants of the Nizam, because of family matter. Yes. So there is a trust called HEH, the Nizam Sahibzadas of the Asif Jahi, or something like that. That's the trust, under which these are Majlis Sahibzadegan society. So now those people, because they're society and they benefit from the Nizam's money, they are scrutinized and given a certificate. So I had to pick up the people who had that certificate. And then I had to get them, with that Aadhaar card and all that, get them notarized in a court accepted kind of a format. So I've got something like maybe about something like 1200 signatures. But in that 1200 signatures, not all of them want to go public. So I have about 700 who are ready to go public, 700 to 900. You know what I mean by public? Like talking to you, and I'm trying to make a website and put them all names down of my supporters and all that transpired, whatever you are talking. I want to put it on a website. So some of them are not comfortable. They're saying, hey, we don't want to be public in the press and all that. We are media shy. But if you want to put us in cases, court cases, we are ready to go in because court cases are private thing. We are fighting for our property. So that is the people. I told you that it's called HEH, the Sahibzadas of Sarfaraz. That's a trust. So those people, they have given me the documentation, and those people are from the 1 to 6 Nizam, coincidentally. Not coincidentally? Okay. 1 to 6. You understand? 1 to 6 is 1. Then all the property moved on to the 7 Nizam.
Yes.
So 7 Nizam has his own children. He has 34 children. So during the 7 Nizam, India became independent. So those 34 are saying, after India became independent and we have to now follow Sharia. So only, like the last 7 Nizam's properties have to be divided by Sharia. Because now we are under India, not the 1 to 6. They are saying 1 to 6 lost, they're gone. You get my point? So they are saying exclude this 1 to 6. But the 1 to 6 are my supporters. And now in the 7th also, there are about, I think, 34 children I told you, they're all no more. They all passed away.
Yes.
So they have about second generation 126 children.
126.
In that 126 children, I've got about 90 signatures again signing me as the Nizam. And also, giving me powers to kind of deal for them. And they've always also pledged some amounts to me in case I win. So I brought it down because I'm a bachelor. I said, I don't need so much. So they were going by 50-50. I said, that's a hell of a lot coming from all of you. So I brought it down to some 30% or whatever. So I don't want to talk. That's a very commercial kind of a thing. But I'm just saying that that's a serious paperwork because they've already, committed financially. It's not just like, not like oral or something. So that is it. Now about the 7th. The 7th are saying, all the properties are dynastic. Dynastic meaning they belong to a family. They are not self-owned.
Yes.
And basically, even the Nizam followed Islamic law. In Islamic law, all brothers are equal. Only thing is because they were kings, nobody could question them. Secondly, suppose you and me are brothers. In Muslims, we are equal.
Yes.
But in a king's family, they give one the right to look after the other.
Yes.
Or suppose there are 5 brothers, one is chosen. So why they do that is because otherwise the estate or dynasty will get fragmented.
Yes.
Suppose we have army of 1,000. If there are 5 brothers, you will only become 200. So next thing like Aurangzeb came and took over Golconda, they'll be like walked over by some other powerful force. So the whole thing is given to one.
Yes.
But it's on behalf of the others. Samanana,
Yes.
to look after the others. It's not entirely his. So he can, till he's there, till the dynasty is there, he can take, use the money and funds
As a custodian.
As a custodian. But if the dynasty ends, like it happened in 1948, something should go back to the family.
Yes.
So they are saying, all this money came down from us. We're all kings and we're all family. So it has to be divided. So there's a very long kind of thing to happen. And all this is very, very legal. So I don't know how much the government will accept. So I'm very lucky. Now in these 2 warring factions, I would have been mincemeat. Luckily for me, I'm not the one to decide.
Yes.
You get my point? I just put the proposal of the 1 to 6 Nizam's people forward, and I put the proposal of the 7 Nizam's people forward. Now the court decides. We are all Indians now.
Yes.
The law of the land decides everything. So I told them, if the 7 Nizam children win, the 1 to 6 should not grudge them. And I'll convince the 7 to give something, because 1 to 6 really need help.
Yes.
And for them, I'm doing it for free. There's nothing, they've not given me any percentage, nothing. I mean, it's totally from my pocket. Even if after I win, it goes to them, nothing comes to me. You get my, I don't need it because I told you I'm single, I have my own properties already.
Yes.
So they've kind of come and chosen me. And I don't even have an option of just moving off, because I thought if it gets too stressful, I'll get out. But they made me sign a paper saying that I will decide on the next person before I abdicate or move out. Because I said, why would you do that? So they said, because all the work you're going to put in for 4-5 years, the moment you move, there'll be a fight for the next person who wants to be the chief or the head or the, or the other Nizam after that.
Yes.
So you'll be fighting so much that it won't get resolved. So all the good work you've done will go to dust. So they said, you have to choose a person before you kind of think of moving out. So that's also another unusual condition I have. So now the 7th are with me now, the 6th are with me. So I have to now somehow make sure, like, and the 7th also, there are some people who do it independently. You know, they file cases. It's like a blackmail case. It's not for the family, but just for creating some trouble and getting out, they
Yeah,
charge
so
money
many,
and they get
so
out.
many like that, so many cases are even.
Even now,
Wow,
yeah.
yeah.
They just want to extort money.
Yes.
So that talking is on. Even my 1 to 6 also, there are some people who got to know I spent a lot of money. And I mean, to the families who were like needy, like, people who wanted to get their children admitted in a hospital or, in a college, or the parents needed to look after, I spent money in the beginning. And so they feel that they missed out on getting money. So they're trying to make it awkward for me. There may be just about 3, 4 of them. And they've collected about some 15 people who are not even probably from the family. And they made a group and they make a lot of noise to embarrass me. So maybe they think I will pay them something, but if I do every 4th day, they'll come up with some other person and create a nuisance. Luckily, the other side, which is from the real meaning the other side also, which is, in contesting. So they also don't want to do anything with these guys because they know they're rogues and they'll keep on creating trouble just to extort something. So they're not supporting them, they're just going around making a nuisance of themselves. So that is from the 1 to 6. The
Quite
7 is
natural in the families.
Pardon?
That is quite natural in the family.
In the families, yeah.
matters.
It's a very big family. And
It's
the
a big
worst
family.
is, I hate it when the newspaper says there are two factions. One is saying that we should get it as per Sharia, and the other is saying we should get it as per primogeniture. The primogeniture section is not even 10 people.
Yeah.
You get my point? So to be very clear, you have to say 10 people on one side or say something, a small group or some word. Like Times of India said, the splinter group is on the opposite side. Splinter meaning just a tiny.
Yes, tiny.
So, but when they say two factions, it talks about as if we are like, equal both sides, equally divided type. That's not right. Here we've got some 4,000 people, the other side is just about 10 people.
10 people.
So you can't say, it's not a fair way of.
Majority is the rule of law.
Exactly, rule of law. And now it's a democracy. So they're like exercising their democratic right, democratic India. And nobody can, has any say in that. So it's going on by that. And now that's my role. I mean, now I have to fight cases, I have to understand the law.
Yes.
I was never interested before.
Yes.
So I've got people doing it also.
Yeah.
And I have to just regulate them. Like somebody asked me, what do you do for something else? I said, it's like you're asking a general where are the army's clothes being stitched. He won't know. There are people, will be designated to do that. So slowly we are getting a team. It's very slow because already almost 2 years.
One side, my question is that, the 7th Nizam's history, if you see, so he made a lot of reforms in the administration of justice.
Right.
So,
Yeah, he separated the justice and this thing also.
yes,
What do you call it? He separated the legal system from the political administrative.
Administration.
Yeah. He was the first person to do that.
Yes, do that. Done. Because he separated the administration of justice into executive and the legislative and the judicial. That is a great
Great.
contribution of Nizam.
Yes.
So he also given much more priority for communal peace.
Right.
So he has given much priority for Dalit upliftment, tribal upliftment, even Hindus, Muslims, Christians, everybody.
Yeah.
So he established so many institutions. So even Osmania, even though Osmania management is not ready to at least celebrate his birthday. No, because of my force and because of my brethren, Muslim brethren, we fought for the celebrating Nizam's birthday as an official birthday in 100 years celebrations. So that is the situation because Nizam is a Muslim, so he made wrongs, so many wrongs, on the majority people like Hindus. So that is very utterly wrong.
Yes.
When you read out the real Nizam,
Yes.
so the Razakars are different from the Nizam. So Nizam's, the Razakars mingle with the Deshmukhs, Patels, and
Yes.
they created nonsense.
They great now. Yeah.
Nonsense, and because of them only Nizam got.
And there's a person,
Yeah.
I'll introduce you to him. He's a scholar, but people didn't appreciate him again.
Yes.
So he's trying to say that Razakars,
Yes.
they're almost like the Americans talking about the weapons of mass destruction with none.
Yes.
So they use that as an excuse to take over Iraq or whichever country.
Yes.
So he
Exactly.
said same way they kind of created a thing about Razakars
Exactly.
because the Razakars were in jail in Bombay or something he explained. He logically explained why the Razakars were not even there when they kind of invaded the place talking about Razakars because
Exactly.
they needed an excuse. So that thing is there. I'll
That is
introduce you. His
nothing
name
but
is
the
Ghayur.
creation of the
The person's name is Ghayur. I'll introduce him.
Yes,
to you.
yes. Yes, so that's what we being a Dalit professor,
Right.
so we are in favor of the Nizam. So our community is also in favor of the Nizam because we benefited. Ambedkar benefited from Nizam. Even though
You said he was given this thing,
the
doctorate.
doctorate,
although
even
nobody was giving.
even scholarship, so per month 500 rupees. Nizam has sponsored to him.
Yeah, that's a long time. When you say 500, you should always say 500 of that time.
At that time,
Yeah, people don't think, they think what 500.
500 at that time, that is
Yeah, you should always say that.
yes,
People don't.
it is nothing but 5 lakhs.
Yeah.
And also he has given land for the establishment of Millennium University to Ambedkar.
Yeah.
So Ambedkar established so many institutions.
Even Hindu University has the biggest funding for that. It's in UP, it's not even in Hyderabad.
Yes.
He funded all these temples also.
Yes.
Ajanta Ellora and all that.
Ajanta Ellora.
He got this Yazdani,
Yeah.
Ghulam Yazdani from Iran to, with the new archaeology department.
Yes.
And the Hyderabad department looked after it till 1958, till Maharashtra was formed. Then it shifted.
Yes.
So he did a lot of secular things.
Even when the India's crisis, he has given gold for I think to
War.
In the war 1962 war.
Yes.
So that is a great contribution of
Exactly.
the Nizam. Nizam is one of the true patriotic of the Indian nationalism. But unfortunate thing is that this, the other side, so-called fundamentalist, can blame Nizam.
Yeah, they can reap benefits politically.
Yes,
because
politically.
the majority is Hindu, they say that. They
Yes,
want to,
yes.
and they know very well.
Yes.
So they still say that. Many people tell me, okay, why don't you, have programs to like educate the other Hindus that the Nizam was good? I said most of them actually know the Nizam is good.
Yes.
But for political gains, they have to portray him as bad.
Exactly.
See, I also wanted to start opening mosque for all Hindu people, of all communities.
Yes.
That's how Muslims came later. If you notice, there were Hindus already, there were Christians already, there were Jews already. So how did the Muslim, people join Muslim? By people inviting them, Muslims inviting them. So how can they stop them entering a mosque? And there's nobody to stop anyone.
Yes.
At a mosque, if you notice, there's no chowkidar, nothing. And yet some of these people say that all conspiracies are formed in mosque. There's one huge room.
Yes.
Where is the chance of conspiracy when anybody can walk in? And nobody's checked out there.
Falsely, they want to intentionally
Damage the reputation.
their reputation. But even though
So I told you I wanted to open the temple.
Yes.
So I told Mr. Chief Secretary at that time and Anurag Sharma. He was the DGP.
okay.
Okay. And Mr. Joshi, SK Joshi.
SK
So he said, don't get into all that. So first I got irritated with them. I thought they only want to do the job and push off. They don't want to do anything for the community. Later on, I realized what they were trying to say. They were saying that other people are not ready to accept that the Muslims are good.
Yes.
So if you tell them the Muslims are good, they will create trouble to make you look bad again. So they'll actually send somebody who's drunk in the mosque to create a scene. You can't anticipate what all they'll do.
Yes.
They'll probably throw some,
Yes.
some kind of, pig meat
that
inside.
they
or
want
like-
to create Muslim phobia.
Exactly.
Actually.
So they will do that. So they stopped me from opening the mosque. I'm the head of a mosque out here. And I don't go there much because I don't want people salaaming me and all that. I don't like that attention again. So I stay out of it, but I'm the head of a mosque. I've also got a doctorate for community
Harmony.
bridging.
Yes.
Community bridging. And, creating understanding. I told you about the Holi thing. About 45 years I've been playing Holi in the name of Mehboob Ali Khan.
Yes.
And Mehboob Ali Khan was considered a saint by Sarojini Naidu also. So she wrote a very candid, very casual letter explaining why she could not make it to a meeting. In that thing, she was writing that Mehboob Ali Khan passed away and she could have managed better if some family member had passed away. And then somewhere she wrote that Hindu people that consider him a saint, and they, before starting something, some business and all that, some small amount of money they'd go, and go and give it to his tomb or grave or his temple. And Cyril Jones, Memoirs of Cyril Jones, is a book by a railway engineer who laid a railway line from Hyderabad to Wadi in Bombay. The railway was private, Mehboob Ali Khan, Sixth Nizam. So he had a ledger. So every day he'd write a logbook of what all happened. So he said, I ran across Hindus, Muslim communities, but they, sometimes Hindus, Muslims, logically they get together and fight, but it was nothing like Hindus being suppressed by Muslims or the Hindus against the Nizam because other guys they are fighting with Muslims. So that was only a regional, like local kind of a thing, village, inter-village fight.
Yes.
Because the reason he said, I assume that, is because they had built domes. It's not clear, sometimes you use the word domes, or maybe he said tomb. Tomb is like when the dead body is there. If the dead body is not there, you can't call it tomb. But he used the word dome, and he said where people go and supplicate there. Maybe they have a small idol of the Nizam where they go and do puja and ask for favors. So he's considered. Then I told you about this, this thing, Vishwacharya.
Mm.
He talked about the Nizam doing a yagna
Mm.
in 1908 Musi floods. In yagna, you have to go with a tray into the waters and appease the god. So Mehboob Ali Khan thought maybe the most people dying are Hindus.
Yeah.
So maybe the Hindu gods are angry.
Yeah.
So he tried to appease the Hindu gods also.
Yes, yes.
So he went into the water. According, I will not say this because it sounds superstitious. Vishwacharya said that the water started receding the way they rapidly rose. Because for days that flood was going on.
Yes.
And after that,
25,000 nearly the people.
people died. And not only that, about 80,000 people, the Nizam was feeding in his own palaces.
Yes, yes,
He
yes.
opened up his own palaces for the betterment of the people. His private palaces.
3 months.
3 months, yeah, 3 months and about 8,000 or I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
8,000 people he was feeding, or 80,000 people. It's a huge, huge thing. And
It
nobody talks about that.
Yes, yes.
When they talk
No,
about
what
Muslim
is
flood,
the
there's no-
positive aspects there? Nobody's talking.
Nobody's talking.
Negative only. Some little bit, one thing happened, they will,
No, they're inventing.
Yeah.
It's not even like small
Yeah.
something happened. That thing never happened.
Yeah,
they said
it
the
never
Nizam
happened.
is making people dance on Bonalu in front of him. Why would the Nizam bother to have
Yeah.
certain people dancing? You can have anyone dancing and it can be from any community.
Yes.
Why
yes.
would you say, he was making Dalit women dance?
Yeah.
Something like that. Something else. And somebody from your university.
Oh.
They were sitting with me. They said all this, that the Nizam made them dance naked. Can you imagine the Nizam making anyone dance naked? Other, they'll be. Nizam is never
No,
alone.
This
They're
is a fake
spectators.
rumors.
And they were professors from your university.
Hmm.
20 minutes after the talk was over, they were asking my address to be friends with me, to be in touch with me.
Mm.
So they were totally fake. They were like,
Yes,
and I had respect for them because they were professors from a university, but they were taught or they had that mental, thing where they believe anything bad about the Nizam.
Yes, yes. Because it is a rumor. It is a rumors are spread lot of misconceptions about Nizam and their dynasty. So that is the reason why we want to create what actually happened in Nizam's dynasty. Actually, more particularly about the seventh Nizam, how he contributed for upliftment of Dalits and downtrodden communities, all religious ceremonies, all religious scriptures, religious temples, everywhere he donated. That is the greatness of Nizam.
See, sometimes people are blind to see something right in front of them.
Yes.
I'll give you the best example. The Nizams are descendants of Abu Bakr Siddiqui, Rahmatullah alayh. That is the first Khalifa after the Prophet passed away.
Yes.
Khalifa is just the person who steps into his shoe to take up his job.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So he was their ancestor. And, so they're very proud of the bloodline. So Mehboob Ali Khan also, he'll write very proudly, Mehboob Ali Khan Siddiqui, because he was Siddiqui, Abu Bakr Siddiqui. Now, Abu Bakr Siddiqui was a father-in-law of the Prophet.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a descendant.
Yes.
So he came through Ijma. Ijma, I told you, is a Muslim concept.
Yes.
The only thing they propose is consensus.
Mm.
And consensus is not vote. Not exactly 100 people vote, 110 votes or 110 wins.
Yeah.
It's community leaders get together.
Yes.
It's like a group kind of a thing. So the maximum groups on power. If you're weak, I think again you can't pull it off. So those people decide on the next person. So Abu Bakr Siddiqui, Ari, he was elected after the Prophet.
Yes.
After that, he named someone. Again, they were
Yes, same-
supported by the public,
yeah,
up to
same-
3.
Yeah.
So after that, then the succession came. Well, like another person from the Prophet's family came as a 4th. That's again, I think some communities dispute that. I mean, they don't dispute that the Khalifas came, but they don't like the idea that those 3 people came before somebody they wanted to come. There's something, but that's nothing to do with this point. But basically, the Nizams are very proud about their descendancy of the bloodline of the Khalifa, first Khalifa.
Yes.
Khalifa is the most important person. Who's even more important, ultimate most important is the Prophet. Now the Prophet's progeny is only through a daughter.
Mm.
Yet the people say, I am a son's descendant and I'm like very proud to be, a son's descendant. But the very fact is when you go up, your connection with the Prophet is only a woman,
Yes.
daughter, and they know it.
Yes.
But they don't want to talk about it.
So that is the positive angle of the Prophet and Islam. So
Right.
even Islam says about peace only.
Yeah.
Islam never supports slavery. Islam never supports inequality. So that is the greatness of Islam. But nobody in the Hindu phobia people always thinks about Islamic. They want to create Islamic phobia. They will do wrongs always. They will be the terrorist. They will be the this and that. So that is the misconceptions of the phobias only, not the reality.
Yeah, but a lot of countries are also doing it. When somebody kills somebody, he's called mentally deranged. He's called, like some troublemaker or a
Yes.
disturbed person and all that. But if a Muslim does it, he's straight away terrorist and is a Muslim Islamic terrorism.
Islamic terror.
Anybody else does it. And they have statistics where there are far more people from other religions who killed. Like in the Crusades, the Christians killed many more than Islamic. Years back. Before that, nobody even knew about that, talked about it.
So Shishir Tharoor is a real historian compared to the other historians in India. So he is a very great intellectual. So finally, so what is your future plans about Nizam's plan?
I told you, my future plan is, see, basically they need money just now. The funds are the most important, all other things can come later. Because right now there's no real Nizam that you say, the royal family is hardly anything. If somebody wants to respect them, it's up to them. If they can't respect, there's nothing you can do about it. There's no protocol, there's nothing. In fact, some people purposely disrespect someone from the royal family just to show that they can get away and that other guy who's from the family cannot do anything.
Political power actually in all remaining Hindu dynasties, they enter into politics and they became a leaders.
Right. Here
they
we didn't do
survive.
it,
But here Nizam's family, they never enter into politics.
Maybe, they were shy. I used to think they're very good because they didn't enter. Now I realize it's a very wrong thing. Mukarram Jah, he just moved out. And he moved out, he was no interested in India.
Yes.
Like one book called Last Nizam,
The last Nizam.
where the author was with the Nizam. And so it's a pretty authentic version. So the Nizam got rid of everything here, which probably belonged partly to his family also. He went there and he invested in the sheep farm.
Huh?
Australia, sheep farm. So somebody called Zaveri is asking him, and he wanted to buy that land for the sheep farm. So Zaveri, I think, brought the person who was selling it, and they were showing the place. And they asked the Nizam, do you like it? So I don't know the exact first sentence, I don't remember. He said, I love it because there's not a bloody Indian in sight. That's a very crazy thing to say. For a person who lived here, grew up here, everything, and somebody, tried to defend him, saying maybe he's joking. I said, orally you can be joking.
Yes.
But he moved lock, stock and barrel into Australia. So that's not a joke, no?
Yes, correct. Exactly.
So that means they had disdain for this thing. So what would he do for the family? He just looked after himself. So that was a wrong choice. The last ruling Nizam, he skipped his own two sons, making his grandson thinking he's capable. Apparently there are stories where, whatever records where he kind of realized his mistake. But he couldn't undo it. Undo making that grandson. And the grandson went ahead, and now the family realizes that anybody could have been, and he was chosen as a proper person because they thought he was capable, and he kind of deceived the family more than anybody else.
So what
And then
about
after that, his sons and all that are all abroad. So whatever they sell in India is going to go abroad. The funds are going to go abroad. So why should Indian money go abroad?
Abroad.
And they didn't earn it on their own. You know what I'm saying? They didn't do a business and earn it where they can call it own and take it anywhere they want. So the money should not get India. Many people are against it. So I found a society. So I'm the president, and vice president is Mr. S.K. Joshi, who was ex-chief secretary. And then Mr. Dinesh Reddy, who was ex-DGP HOPF. And then Mr. Swaranjit Sen, DGP HOPF. Then Mr. Huda, who was head of WAF as a special officer. Then Mr. Santosh Mehra. And then many more people. There are some people like, Sadat Pir Baghdadi, who was a religious, respected person. And then many other people. I mean, I can't even remember all of them. But this is good enough. When we found a society, we are saying the money should not go abroad. Because every member of the family claiming those things individually are abroad. So they are cheating a family. Not only that, they're taking the money. The money has to be going out. You get my point? I don't have to show the police how it's going out. Because if you're a civilian, you can only show there's a theft in the house.
Yes.
You cannot give the address of the thief and the pictures. That's up to the police. So it's logical that the money is going somewhere. So somebody has to take it up, and we are doing it seriously.
What is the solution for that?
Solution is we form a society. I don't know, the police people, that's why I inducted them. No? They are my society. Mainly because then I have some other people also. Like Mr. Suman is a film star, Telugu. I have him just to have that control over that, some connection with the film crowd. So I have one person, like that Muslim person. Then I legally also have a very top lawyer with me who was an activist.
Who is lawyer?
Lawyer is, I'm forgetting his name just now. I don't know how I can forget it. Every morning I get a message from him. And anyway, he's a top lawyer
I think
and he's an
he's
activist.
from Tarnaka, a lawyer?
No. Jubilee, High-Tech City.
High-Tech City.
Tall, lean person. I shouldn't be disrespectful. I'm forgetting his name.
Actually, Niranjan Reddy?
No, not Niranjan is on the opposite side. He's like, he's a political person. This one is a
Purely
person for, upliftment of poor and all that. So he's a lawyer on the legal side, but he gets very little time. So I have one person who's representing, but mainly 5 or 6 people. Like I have Ajay Mishra, who was, this thing.
IAS senior IAS officer.
No. He's senior IS, but he was Home Secretary.
Retired, no?
Retired. Now he's like head of the Red Cross. You don't have 20 rupees and you're running short and you say you're a Nizam family. He's not going to pardon you the 20 just because you're a Nizam family. He doesn't care. So a lot of people don't care, and a lot of people also want to insult them, just to show off, or even as a how do you say, like a revenge mechanism. So you can't say, oh, just to show, okay, now we can get away with it.
That is a big problem. That is the biggest problem for.
So basically now it's not the Nizam thing, it's mostly the financial aspect, which we have to now get our act together and start working on it. It is happening now slowly.
How much you are expecting get share from the Nizam's property? Maybe how much?
There's unlimited. Those properties are, we keep on saying Nizam of Hyderabad. Hyderabad people think is a city.
Yes.
Hyderabad was bigger than a country. It was like 90,000 square miles starting from Karnataka.
Yeah.
Bidar in Karnataka all the way to Aurangabad. Aurangabad was the capital of Hyderabad. That's in Maharashtra. So between everything, the whole of Telangana, the whole state, that whole area was his.
Yes.
So it's not a joke at all. It's not like unlimited kind of funds out there.
Thank you very much for your kind, patience and giving very interesting facts.
No, this will
about
be
that.
more interesting for me because from the legal department. So I'm very happy to be with you. See, I keep talking about all this.
Yes.
90% of the time we cannot predict the outcomes of the court cases.
Yes.
Okay, we are not supposed to also speculate. It's not right which is going on if it's sub judice. And most of these cases are sub judice now. And now the Nizam's second son, he's come and filed cases against the Nizam's first son.
Oh.
So till then the first son was saying I'm special. But the second son is also from the same father.
Same father.
So now he's got diluted. So this is going to be interesting now. That case is going on. So the more cases, and then the Nizam's son, he took over the Waqf properties.
Okay.
One sec, this is very important. He took over the Waqf properties. Now there's investigation where foreigners cannot take up
Yes.
the Waqf properties.
Yes.
So there's a thing going on against that also. So once it's removed, the family members take over the Waqf. They can do a better job because they're locals and they'll know what to do because they're just sleeping with the Waqf properties. They're not doing anything.
Now the government of India is also trying to do something about work property.
Yeah, they are doing something. I don't know what will happen. If that happens, God knows. But till that time, the Nizam himself has lot of properties himself. So those properties can be utilized partly for the family also. Because it's also Waqf doesn't mean only religious. Waqf is also given some control, like 30% is for the for upliftment of the community. So I have not studied the whole thing because I just got into it. Waqf was the last thing on my mind. But now because they're trying to replace that person, being a foreigner, and those are religious properties. There's the most properties of the Nizam which are intact, which can help the community or even the Muslims. And Muslims also can be given shops or something, because Muslims are down and out. They require help.
Yes.
So there must be a provision to help the poor.
Yeah.
So we will not help the family as family. We can help them as the poor Muslims.
Yes, that's what.
So some way we can find out. So another answer I've given you.
Thank you so much
Okay.
for your
ये
patience.
last का आया ना वो जरूरी
Yes,
था. That's very important actually.
Yes, sir, आ गए, पूरा आ गए. Thank you.
So if you can pull this initially,
Yeah.
there's some confusion because Ratana was very complicated, so I have to say it correctly. Otherwise, no use.
Yeah.
See, I'm talking so confidently because you are a lawyer.
Yes.
And I'm very happy that, I'm always nervous that I might go wrong somewhere. But you're a historian and a lawyer.
Yes.
So if I said something wrong, you would have corrected me immediately.
Exactly.
And the other confidence is, last year, 2023, 2024, this is 25.
Yeah, this is true.
So we completed 300 years of the Nizams.
Yeah.
Like the actual rule was till 1948, but the Nizam, family continued till now. So we concluded it with the analysis of what is happening with the Nizam family, because
Yes.
still their dynasty and still continuing.
Yes.
So there's a article written by Zenat Far. It's already published. What I'm telling you is mostly published in a double peer reviewed journal, which I don't remember, but I got the papers for you. And the second thing is, it's by Marcella Sarandi. See, I told you she's one of the professors in Berkeley University,
Yes,
America,
yes.
and by another girl called Aruna, who's a doctor from Hyderabad, but now she's a fellow in some top hospital in UK. So she grew up with the royal family. So the last 1948 onwards, or from the last, Nizam passing away, all this complication started happening with Mukram Jah passing away in 2023,
Yeah.
14 Jan.
Yes.
So about 2 years almost. In a few more days, it'll be 2 years.
Yes.
So she did interviews of the family to understand what they would want. So between them, they've given a paper on which was read in Administrative Staff College, where you were also there.
Yes, yes.
Well, I think that paper was read before you in absentia.
Yes.
Absentia.
Yeah.
And so that paper talks about all I'm saying. So because of that paper, I've become more confident.
Okay.
Because Marcella is like, what do you call it, expert in, in Central Asian studies.
Yes, yes, yes.
She's done a PhD or thesis on that Chuktai, paintings and all. So she's a famous person. So she's written all this with that other author. So now I've become very confident about talking about all this. Before that, I was not confident.
Okay, thank you.
So I would like to say that because also credit to them.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Right.